Well, we got to play this game, don't we? There's no avoiding it. Uh, Vikings Packers in less than 24 hours at frigid Lambeau. I'll just say up front, we're gonna get fucking killed. We are. We're gonna get fucking massacred. Um, and I almost never think that they're gonna get killed. Even if I think they're gonna lose a game, I almost never think they're gonna get killed. They're gonna get killed in this game. I mean, obviously the Cousins news, I already did the whole video about that, but you know, like we were going to be in trouble for this game, you know, even at full strength, you know, because Packers still playing for home field advantage. They're probably not going to get any help. They're not going to have that wrapped up by kickoff tomorrow night, because I think Tampa Bay plays the Jets. That's an easy win, and Dallas is hosting Arizona. That's probably a win. So those two teams are going to keep winning. So Green Bay's got to keep winning, and we beat them, however many weeks ago. So they're pissed about that. They're going to try to, get revenge for that. Obviously, there's just the division rivalry thing. They'd love to end our season. Really, our hope for the season rests in a completely different game. It's the Philadelphia-Washington game, which is, I think, a noon game tomorrow. So probably by about 3 o'clock, we're going to know if we have any chance to even live beyond this week. Because if Washington beats Philly, we can't be eliminated this week. But Philadelphia's been playing pretty good. Washington just got beat 56-14 last week. That game isn't a no chance situation, but I mean, ironically, our playoff hopes might rest in the hands of Taylor Heineke. But depending on how that goes, we may know for sure by kickoff if the season's on the line. So it's. I mean, what can you do? Like, we don't have Kirk Cousins for this game, and people get shit on Kirk Cousins all they want. It's funny how a lot of the same people who, for basically 4 years have shit on Kirk Cousins and said that he's not that good are now also flipping around saying losing Kirk Cousins gives us no chance to win. Well, make up your fucking minds, people. So Sean Mannion's going to start. I said, I think in the other video that I would start Mond. I kind of get why they're starting Mannion. It's going to be very cold. It's going to be a run heavy game plan no matter what. Dalvin is available unless he fucking gets COVID tomorrow. The way this fucking season's going, it wouldn't surprise me if somebody major comes down with COVID at 10 o'clock in the morning tomorrow or some shit. But as of now, Dalvin's available. Madison's available. Wongwu. They haven't really seem to want to use him that much in the run game, but he's there if they want him. It's probably gonna. It's not gonna be like the Patriots against the Bills of some weeks back, where they basically, I think, threw like 5 passes for a whole game. It ain't gonna be that, but it's gonna be very run heavy. Sometimes when one of these weather games, being conservative is actually a decent call. But you need to have some threat of a passing game to do it. And I don't know whether they're going to have that with Sean Mannion, because I'll give him a break on this. The one game that he's played with the Vikings, that game at the end of F19, yeah, he stunk in that game. but he wasn't playing with a first team. Like there were a lot of, I forget how many backups were playing in that game, but there was almost no starters. Like I don't believe anyone on the starting offensive line was in there. We didn't have starting receivers, running back, nothing. So he played with backups. So we'll give him that. And he was playing against, the Bears were playing their guys in that game. So we'll give him a little bit of a break on that. We're not going to, but what we've seen of him in preseason action over the last few years, and obviously not this year because he wasn't with us in preseason, but the previous years, has not been impressive. He doesn't look like he's anything like even like a game manager type. He doesn't even seem like a particularly good one of those. I mean, like if he at least gives them like a capable, just a capable, competent performance, maybe they can stay in the game. Maybe, but you know, along with everything else, we've got a lot of absences on defense. They came out today that Michael Pierce is going to miss the game due to an illness. Vigil's on the COVID list. Dantzler hurt his fucking leg in the middle of the week for some reason, and now he might not play. So we might have Chris Boyd as a starting corner. It's like it just never it never ends. It never has stopped this whole year. The whole thing about injuries being cyclical. Well, I'm never gonna believe that again because they're not cyclical. The injuries have killed us this year. Absences, COVID related, everything that could kill this team this year has happened. And now we're going it just comically shorthanded. Thielen's out. Thielen's out for the season. We're going comically shorthanded into Lambeau Field to face, a motivated Packer team. You couldn't, and it's going to be on national TV, so everyone's going to get to laugh at the Vikings as they get their shit pushed in by the fucking Packers. And we'll have to listen to Collinsworth, suck up to Aaron Rodgers and talk and mention 800 times about he's got a bum toe. Like, God, it's gonna be absolutely unbearable. It's hard to envision how the Vikings win this game because you're not going to get turnovers because Aaron Rodgers doesn't throw interceptions. I mean, it just never happens. Maybe someone else will fumble, but you're not going to get interceptions. You're not going to get turnovers likely. They've got a couple guys out, but nothing compared to what we have out. And hate to admit it, but they are a better team. I mean, and they're at home. I mean, it's just the way it is. But what's the path to winning? Like even ball control. Like okay, let's say Dalvin Cook has one of his all-time games again. Like let's say he's first half of the Steeler game, but for 4 quarters. I mean, you gotta think you gotta score touchdowns just every time because you're not gonna be able to stop them. I don't care if it's super cold. It's not. I guarantee the cold is not going to affect the Packers the way it's going to affect us. It's just not. There's not one thing that's in our favor going to this game. Not one. Not one thing is in our favor. And maybe this isn't worth talking about until it happens, but this could be the end of the end for Zimmer, Spielman. I don't know, maybe Cousins. I mean, obviously, if he's back next week, he would play. I think even if it's a meaningless game, he would play. There'd be no real reason not to play him, but it's just unbelievable that it has to end this way. And I feel And it feels like it has over, and it's just it's just a formality to make it official tomorrow night. Like it was only a week ago we had our playoff destiny in our hands, and now we're going to be eliminated just that quickly. You know, that fucking Lions game was the one that killed us. That was the one that they just couldn't recover from. That was just the unforgivable game. We've lost plenty of close games that were winnable, but I mean the Detroit one was the absolute, you know, you know, and they rebounded with a couple wins after that, but that was that was just the death knell, and we're just waiting to have the all the nails put in the coffin, which are probably going to happen tomorrow night. I'm so dejected, man. This this could have been a much better season than it was. Like this is the talent on this team is way better than you know being eliminated from the playoffs with a week to go. Not saying this was a Super Bowl team. I never thought this was a Super Bowl team, but you know shouldn't have gone this way. But this has been just an absolute cursed season. One of the all-time most cursed seasons in the history of maybe the most cursed franchise in American sports. Um, and you know we probably are going to be eliminated after this game tomorrow night, and then the whole talk leading up to the Bear game will be about you know when does the news come down about Zimmer? Is there going to be news about Spielman, and when is that going to come down? Obviously, anything that happens with Cousins, you know, he's always listed as like part of the three-headed monster here. You know, I think whatever would happen with Cousins would be further out. Um, um, and there's already rumors out there about like, well, maybe we'll trade Cousins to Pittsburgh, or maybe we'll trade him to the 49ers or something like that. Like, you know, but we don't even know who the GM is who's going to be deciding that, because it might not be Spielman. You know, I don't think I've ever really done a video about Spielman. I think Spielman is underrated. I think he's got his flaws that he's made some bad picks. He's made some blunders. But I think overall his body work is pretty good. I think the talent on this team is way better than what the results have been. I think especially this year. I think the failures of this season and everything. It's more on the coaching, and Spillman's. He's responsible for the coaching hires too. And Zimmer was a good hire. He's not what he used to be, but he was a good hire initially. But you know, largely he's built and builds the roster that the coach wants. Um, and I'm sure there's been some instances where they clash on certain things, and maybe you know one or the other doesn't get their way. But generally he's been building the roster that Zimmer wants. That's why we signed all those defensive players this past off season. And some of those worked and some of them didn't. Um, you know, I personally, you know, and there's some people in this family who just want to blow everything up. They want to tear down the stadium. They want to they want to do everything. They don't want any remnants of the whole franchise. They just want the franchise gone. I think they just want the franchise to fold and never exist anymore. Um, but like, I don't think you need to, oh, fuck it. This is supposed to be Packer game preview. I'm going into like future of the franchise shit, but it's hard to get a little mopey and existential when we're just we're facing the end. We're facing the guillotine, and it feels hopeless. It feels very hopeless. It feels like there's no way out of this one. Like the Vikings have looked like at many points this season they've looked like they've been dead, and only to kind of rebound a little bit. And you know, but I think they've just run out of time. They've run out of you only have 2 games left. You don't have time to they don't have time to come back from this anymore. And it would take an extraordinary upset. I mean, this would be one of the biggest upsets in the history of the franchise. I mean, uh, they were like 6 point dogs. It's like 13 points now. Once Cousins was out, um, you know, I can't imagine there've been too many games in the history of the franchise where they've won as like 13-point underdogs. Um, you know, this would be a much bigger upset than winning last year at Lambeau, and that was a huge upset. I just don't see it. I'm as optimistic as anybody, but with this team, but I just don't see it. I don't see how they can possibly win this game. I don't even really see how they can keep it close. And I know they've made the whole season of 1-score games. I think they got to get one more to set the record for a whole season. You know, we'll do that next week. The Bear game will be a 1-score game. This won't be. I'm sorry. I think this. I got this at like 38-13. I just don't see how we can do it. I just don't see how it's possible. Not with Sean Mannion offering no threat of a passing game, and they're going to stack the box like crazy for Dalvin. And I don't trust. I certainly don't trust Clint Kubiak to to create some sort of game plan that can take Green Bay by surprise and fluster them. I don't see it. If we had better coaching on offense, I think we could do it. But I also, if we had better coaching on offense, we wouldn't be sitting at 7-8. We'd have at least a couple more wins right now, and it wouldn't be life or death with this game. We'd probably be comfortably in a playoff spot, or at least we wouldn't be facing elimination. Like, so I think best case scenario for the Packers game here is the cold kind of acts as a little bit of an equalizer, and Dalvin just has one of his greatest games. Breaks a few runs. Maybe we get a turnover or two somehow. Maybe Aaron Rodgers busts his toe or something. I mean, you maybe it's icy. He slips and falls and breaks his collarbone. I don't know what's gonna. I don't know. I see no hope. I'm sorry. I try to be the optimistic person amongst a fan base that is constantly like doom and gloom and rooting for the team to lose. I've seen a lot of that already this week. Like people hoping that they get killed by the Packers because it'll help our draft position. It's like, well, you don't even like the GM, so why do you want us to get a better draft pick? You think it's going to be a bust draft pick anyway. So, oh god, not looking forward to any aspect of this game tomorrow night. But I'll be there to watch. Not be there. I would not be at the stadium, but I'll be watching on TV, facing the doom and hoping for a miracle.